say you reverse the roles even. Luuk De Jong is playing the minutes that Ricardo Pepi did. Then you now all of a sudden you're in a position where you're battling for the league. You're starting all the time for your club. You're going to be in Champions League. Like that's what we talk about wanting for all of these guys. And then after the World Cup, you go and you get your bag of money and you do what you have to do. I'd hate to see him make a move to play the same number of minutes.
Ricardo Pepi scored 2 goals against the 3rd division side in the Dutch Cup, the KNVB Cup. They won 8-0. I do want to make a correction to the last show. I said that Ricardo Pepi didn't play against Heerenveen when they lost 1-0 this past weekend. He did. He came on the 67th minute and played the last 23 minutes.
Didn't start, though.
Didn't start, which I think is still important.
It's like Peter Bosch, give it up. The guy's
I know.
He's your starter now.
Listen, Pepi has 10 goal contributions since the beginning of November. Luuk De Jong has 1. Pepi has 8 goals and 2 assists. And over that same time, in less minutes than Luuk De Jong.
It's time.
It's time.
It's done. PSV, listen up.
What's happening? Ernie Stewart, let's go tell Peter Bosch what's up and get Ricardo Pepi some more valuable minutes. They take on Feyenoord this Sunday, and it'll be their last game until they take their winter break until January 11th. So
that's a nice little winter break.
That is a nice winter break. And he better get after it. We better see Ricardo Pepi in this game in a meaningful way, not just giving him throwaway minutes at the end when you should have started Luuk De Jong.
Jimmy, do you think he could potentially be moved in January?
So
if
are there rumors swirling that there's been a $20 million offer that I've seen circulating around the World Wide Web?
Yeah, but do you see him moving in January?
No, I don't think
see him saying, what, I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm going to stick it out. And
it'd have to be the situation
in the
though,
summer.
Chuck, right?
Right.
If you were going to go and it was like to Augsburg, like he did the Bundesliga, you got to be a situation.
Hell no.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If it's like that, then no, of course. But you want to be playing as well. I could see him potentially making a move in the summer. If he can maintain this consistency of having a lot of goal contributions and making the most of his minutes, and when he does start, he's really impactful. I think that's what teams want to see.
I think La Liga would be fantastic for him.
Yeah, where do you think would be a good destination?
Would you have a problem if he stayed there to the World Cup? I wouldn't, because I think eventually.
That's
what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying that's what I was getting to. Instead of going to a place where you're going to battle, you might not be in Champions League. Here, he's going to be at a place that's going to battle for a title. If he becomes the man, right, then I think it makes sense to stay. Now, of course, I always give this caveat: like if you're going to go make a boatload of money someplace, I would never begrudge you to do that.
If he went to Saudi Arabia, you wouldn't be mad.
If he makes a decision to go to, no, I wouldn't be. Like I say this, Charlie. Guys who make a decision for money, like who am I to tell you not to do it? Right? It might not look great from a sporting perspective, but I'm like, I don't live in your shoes, and you know what I mean. But my point is, if he became the man there and was the starter, just say you reverse the roles. Even Luuk De Jong is playing the minutes that Ricardo Pepi did. Then you now all of a sudden you're in a position where you're battling for the league. You're starting all the time for your club. You're going to be in Champions League. Like that's what we talk about wanting for all of these guys. And then after the World Cup, you go and you get your bag of money and you do what you have to do. I'd hate to see him make a move to play the same number of minutes.
What team would you like to see him go to? Resident number 9, Charlie Davies. Because you have. I'm trying to look at maybe Everton.
Let me throw the scenario at you.
Everton doesn't play. So
that's what I mean. So
you don't want him to go to Southampton, Wolves, Ipswich Town, Leicester City, Everton. All right, Crystal Palace, they have too many strikers, so that's not going to happen. West Ham, also, actually, right now that I look at it,
they have.
I'm going to tell you, there's not a place I'd tell him to go to the Premier League.
But isn't it scary though?
It'd be the same situation. He'd be sitting.
But I'm thinking Josie Altidore, right? Like you go to the Premier League, you get your money, and you go to a place that hardly attacks. Like you hardly get the ball, right? Or like Josh Sargent when he was at Norwich and they get promoted to the Premier League. like they hardly attacked. He played in his half of the field the entire time. I'd prefer him to go to a place where they're attacking and he's getting opportunities. And if not, you got to go to Manchester City, or you got to go to Liverpool, or you go to, the big teams, which is not happening. And then what do you do?
I could see him at Bournemouth. Bournemouth would be a good spot for him.
How about Brentford?
Of these teams,
they attack.
Yeah, they do it.
Yeah, but they have two strikers right now,
right.
in Bomo and Visa, and who knows if they just want to go with those two. I mean, Thomas Frank.
Yeah, it's got to be the right situation
with three, but I just look at that Premier League and I'm like, you know what? If a team's not really playing, it's just not a good spot to be in. If you have a couple bad games, next thing you know, you're just in a fight where they're launching long balls. They expect you to create these magic moments out of nothing. And
that's what I'm talking about.
Set pieces. No, that's not a good spot for him.
But if we extrapolate what he could do, if I'm a top club, I'm only looking at him very similarly to how PSV's looking at him, which is
you want me to give you a good spot?
But if he goes to a mid-table team, it doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna play, right? That's a really delicate balance. Go ahead. Here, I set you up nicely, Chuck. Take it away.
You did. So if you did go to a mid-tier team, I mean, Bournemouth is a little bit higher than that, and same with Aston Villa, but Real Sociedad, which is known for developing talent, they have only 16 goals scored for this season. They're not playing well in the attacking third. They don't have a real goal scorer. Real Sociedad, they play football. That would be a place for him to go and thrive. I mean, I could see Takefusa Kubo feeding him balls in behind and playing 1-2s like that. That's an exciting place to go. And you play European competition. Like that's a team that's typically always competing for 4th, 5th, 6th in the Liga.
Tones, do you have a team?
I see Alex Caven saying Real Sociedad only go for Basque players. Was Alexander Sorloth a Basque player? Was Odegaard a Basque player?
Chuck 1, everybody else 0.
Come on, Alex.
I got him.
Wow, the hammer just came down.
That's athletic. Hey, athletic is that.
All right, that was a little trigger right there. Sorry, Alex. You didn't.
Well, how about Fulham in the Premier League?
That would be a great spot.
If Raul Jimenez moves on, how about Fulham in the Premier League?
Yeah, that'd be a good shout. I like Marco Silva. I think he's a good manager as well.
Yeah, they
try to play
well right now.
They try to play.
Yeah.
So he'd have to play over CONCACAF rival Raul Jimenez. So that would be
would be a good one.
Yeah, but what if he's not playing and Raul Jimenez plays every match? Then
you're
looking at it like,
now we're
probably a bad move.
Right.
You know,
well, the risk.
I think he's got to go to a place that's in need of a striker that doesn't even have a real striker, and a team that's really starving for goals. So, that's one of the places where I say, okay, La Liga is a great league for him to develop, because ultimately, how do we want Ricardo Pepi to evolve? And for me, it's playing in tight spaces and getting used to combinations, because we know he's good in space. When he makes those runs, his timing is great. But I want him to continue to develop the other parts of his game. And I think La Liga, because of the style of the league, I think it would suit him very well to be very comfortable with both feet, knowing when to turn, knowing when to play 1-2s. That, for me, would be a place where he could sharpen his skills.
Okay, I think what's interesting, too, is I'm looking at Real Sociedad's European schedule. Excuse me. They're playing the Europa League. So they got Nice, Anderlecht, Victoria Pilsen, Ajax, Lazio are some of the names. Then I go to PSV's, and they're in Champions League. They take it on Juventus, Sporting, PSG, Girona, Shakhtar Donetsk, Liverpool, Red Star Belgrade. I mean, it's interesting that we want him to go somewhere where maybe the domestic league is going to be challenging him more on a weekly basis. But the European stuff that PSV finds themselves in is pretty competitive. And I wouldn't want him to miss out on that as well. So I don't know. I'm a little torn.
And always do, right? And they're always in that competition, right? They're always they're always qualifying, right? For Champions League and Europa League and all that stuff. So you're going to be battling at the top. I'd love personally to get to the end of this year. And I don't mean 24. I mean the end of the season. I'd love to see Ricardo Pepi be the starter at PSV. Like, I'd love to see that we get to that point, because then you're seeing real progress from him.